You have probably stood on a casino carpet without ever really looking at it. If you had, you would have noticed something strange. The colors clash on purpose. The pattern seems to move even when you are standing still. Nothing about it matches the chandeliers above it or the machines beside it. It feels like a mistake. It is not a mistake. It is one of the most carefully engineered surfaces in the entire building, and once you understand why, you will never walk across one without noticing it again. Think about the last time you were inside a casino, or even just saw a photo of one. The carpet was loud, clashing geometric shapes, mismatched colors, patterns that seemed to fight each other for your attention, sometimes on the same square foot of fabric. Meanwhile, everything else in the room, the lighting, the machines, the layout, feels deliberate and expensive. The ceilings are dramatic, the chandeliers are enormous, the bar is polished. So why does the floor look like it was designed by someone with no taste at all? Why would an industry built entirely on atmosphere and luxury leave the one surface every visitor touches looking like a mistake? It turns out the ugliness is the point. Casino design consultant Bill Friedman spent decades studying how floor layouts shape gambling behavior, walking casino floors, tracking foot traffic, and interviewing operators about what actually kept people playing longer. His work became so influential that casinos across the country adopted what the industry still calls Friedman's rules, a set of design principles built entirely around one question: what keeps a visitor inside the building engaged and unaware of how much time has passed? One of those rules is almost never stated directly to customers. A visually busy carpet is not there to be admired. It is there to be ignored, and ignoring it is exactly the behavior the room wants from you. And here's the mechanism. A patterned, high-contrast carpet is uncomfortable to look at for more than a second or two. The shapes do not resolve into anything recognizable. The colors do not sit still. Your eyes slide off it almost immediately. They do not want to rest there. So where do they go instead? Up toward the machines, the lights, the screens, the next hand of cards, the next spin. Every second your eyes spend on the floor is a second they are not spending on a game. The carpet is not decoration. It is a redirect built to push your attention exactly where the casino wants it, without you ever noticing you were being steered in the first place. This is not just a designer's hunch either. Visual cognition researchers have long understood that the human eye is drawn to patterns it can resolve quickly and repelled, gently but consistently, by patterns that never quite settle. A grid is calm, a clean stripe is calm, but a pattern built from clashing shapes, deliberately mismatched colors, and no repeating rhythm forces your visual system to keep working without ever finishing the job. That low-grade cognitive friction is uncomfortable in a way most people cannot articulate. They just look away. Casino carpets are often built from exactly this kind of pattern on purpose, optical noise disguised as decoration, tuned specifically to be unpleasant enough to glance past, but not so ugly that anyone stops to ask why. There is a second, more practical reason underneath the psychological one, and it has nothing to do with your attention at all. Casino floors take a brutal beating. Spilled drinks, cigarette ash, dropped chips, thousands of footsteps a day, every single day, for years, without the carpet ever being allowed to look worn out or replaced during peak hours. A plain, solid-colored carpet would show every stain and every trail of foot traffic within weeks. You would see the exact path gamblers walk between the entrance and the high-limit tables, worn thin like a trail through grass. A dense, busy, high-contrast pattern hides all of it. Gambling historian David G. Schwartz, who directs the Center for Gaming Research at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, has spent years documenting exactly this kind of design decision, the ones that look strange or tasteless from the outside, but make complete operational sense once you understand what a casino floor has to physically survive without ever shutting down. The ugliness is not just distraction. It is durability disguised as an aesthetic choice, engineered to look intentional instead of practical. Now layer in the third piece, the one that ties the whole system together. Most casino floors are built without windows and without clocks. You already knew that, probably. It is one of the most repeated facts about casino design, almost a cliche at this point. What you may not have connected is that the carpet is doing the same job as the missing windows, just quietly at floor level, where nobody thinks to look for it. Both are designed to strip away your sense of time and place. A patterned floor with no visual anchor point, no straight lines to follow, no consistent shape repeating in a predictable rhythm makes it slightly harder for your brain to judge how far you have walked or how long you have been standing somewhere. It is a small effect on its own, barely noticeable in any single moment. Combined with the missing clocks, the absence of daylight, and the recycled oxygen-rich air pumped through the ventilation system, it becomes part of an entire environment engineered to make an hour feel like 20 minutes. So the pattern became so recognizable that it eventually turned into its own strange kind of cultural artifact. People started photographing casino carpets specifically because they were ugly, sharing them, comparing them, treating the maximalist swirls and clashing color fields as an aesthetic in their own right, rather than a mistake to laugh off. Coffee table books have been published collecting nothing but casino carpet photography. Design blogs have written retrospectives on the era. None None of that changes what the pattern was built to do. If anything, it proves how well the disguise worked. An entire visual style that exists to be ignored somehow became famous enough to be studied, and most of the people admiring it online still walk straight past the real thing without a second glance the next time they're standing on it. Does this actually work on people who already know it is happening? That is the uncomfortable part. Awareness does not fully cancel out environmental design. You can know a room has no windows and still lose track of time inside it. You can know a carpet is designed to keep your eyes up and still find yourself staring at a slot machine for 2 hours without meaning to. Trade publications like Casino Journal and Global Gaming Business have covered this exact tension for years. The fact that even sophisticated, informed gamblers who can explain the psychology out loud are not immune to a floor plan built around decades of behavioral research. The design does not require you to be fooled. It only requires you to be human, operating on the same visual instincts as everyone else who has ever walked across that floor. And here's the twist, the part that reframes the entire idea. If the ugly maze-like windowless casino floor works this well, why have so many of the newest casinos on the Las Vegas Strip abandoned it? Walk into one of the resorts built or heavily renovated in the last 2 decades, and you will often find the opposite of everything just described. Open sightlines, natural light pouring through massive windows, neutral, almost minimalist flooring and soft grays and creams, restaurants and retail visible from the gaming floor instead of hidden behind a maze of slot rows. If the old model worked this well for this long, why did the industry start tearing it out at exactly the moment it seemed most established? The answer is not that the psychology stopped working, it is that the customer changed underneath it. The old model was built around a specific kind of visitor, someone making a dedicated trip to gamble for hours at a stretch, someone the casino needed to disorient, contain, and keep moving in slow, predictable loops past as many machines as possible. The newer resorts are built around a different visitor, someone who came for a show, a pool, a restaurant, a photo for their feed, and who might gamble for 20 minutes as one stop among a dozen others in a single evening. You cannot trap that visitor in a windowless maze without losing them entirely to the restaurant next door. You have to let them see the whole resort, want to explore it, and spend money in a dozen places instead of just one. The floor plan did not get less strategic, it got redesigned around a completely different kind of attention, built for a visitor who spends more time scrolling a phone than pulling a lever. This is worth sitting with for a second. Both versions, the tight, ugly, windowless maze and the bright, open, photogenic floor, are doing the exact same underlying job. They are both built entirely around controlling where your eyes go and how long you stay somewhere before you leave. The difference is not principle, it is target. One version needed your eyes down and your sense of time gone, trapped in a loop of machines with no visual escape route. The other needs your eyes up, your curiosity engaged, and your feet moving toward the next photogenic corner of the resort. Neither one is decorating for beauty. Both are decorating for behavior, just aimed at 2 very different kinds of visitor walking through the same industry a generation apart. And this same logic did not stay confined inside casino walls. Mobile games and apps have openly borrowed the same behavioral toolkit that built the ugly carpet in the first place. The loud visual patterns, the near misses, the sounds and colors engineered to keep your attention locked on a screen a few seconds longer than you consciously intended. Game designers have discussed for years how directly slot machine psychology influenced the loot boxes, spinning reward animations, and streak mechanics built into mobile apps that have nothing to do with gambling on paper. The carpet moved off the casino floor and onto your phone. It just does not look like a carpet anymore. It looks like a notification badge, a spinning wheel, a countdown timer refreshing itself right as you're about to close the app. So the next time you notice a carpet that seems too loud, too busy, too mismatched to be an accident, trust that instinct. It probably was not an accident. Somewhere behind that pattern is a designer who studied exactly how long your eyes can comfortably rest on a floor before they lift back up toward whatever the room wants you looking at instead. You have probably stood on a carpet like that without ever really looking at it. That was always the plan.